There was a time in your life when cycling wasn't just an enhancement, it was your whole life.
Yes.
You were a professional cycler.
Yes.
From the age of 7 until...
Well, I started bike racing as soon as I learned how to ride a bike.
Really?
Phil Phails for you.
As soon as I learned to ride a bike, I wanted to race. It's always been highly competitive in that way. I'd say maybe not be that way today as much, but when I was young, yes. And I kind of gained experience and got stronger through the junior ranks. And by my last year as a junior, I was at a very high level.
Where was this at?
In California.
Okay.
I'm from the Central Valley, like middle of California.
Okay.
The goal was always to race in Europe.
Was it road bikes or mountain bikes? It was always
cycling.
Road cycling.
Yeah. And the goal was always to race in Europe. It's a European sport. Mm-hmm. I've explained it to people kind of like these European basketball leagues are awesome. You make some money, super competitive games, they're great, but it's not the NBA.
Right.
Similar with cycling.
If you want to play basketball, you need to come to America and play in the NBA.
Yeah. And if you want to race bikes, you need to go to Belgium. So that's the first thing I did was like a couple days after I graduated from high school. Well, my last year as a junior racer, I started sending my resume around to teams in Europe. And I got on a team in Belgium. And
that's how you get on a cycling team, is by sending your resume out?
Yeah. That's what I did. Yeah.
And one of them was like, I like this guy.
Well, none of these teams in Belgium would know who I am unless I introduced myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And so on the resume, it's just like all your wins at all these different tournaments in America?
Yeah. It's just a list of results. Yeah. Maybe a really strong statement about why I want to race for your team.
And how old were you?
17.
17.
And in my last year as a junior, 17 to 18.
And you're a Europhile. You love Europe.
Well, like right after I thought my parents were really hard on me for making me finish high school, but I had to finish high school.
You didn't want to?
Most of the junior racers at my level at that time were doing like homeschool.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was going to high school and got a normal diploma, which I thought was like, they're really holding me back. But
yeah, you should be riding more.
By the way, Mom and Dad, I'm glad I got a high school diploma. So
good on you, Mom and Dad.
Immediately after I graduated, I flew to Belgium and I was on a junior team in Belgium. Mm-hmm. And that was my introduction to European racing. And it was awesome. It was hard. It was an eye-opener. It was like right out of the magazines. Everything I'd been wanting to do was like happening. It was
at 17, you're
18.
At 18, you're on a team in Belgium.
Yeah.
Like a road cycling team.
Yeah.
Which one was it?
A junior team.
A junior team.
Yeah. So like under 19-year-olds.
18, 19.
Under 19. Okay. So like 17, 18.
Okay.
And there was one other American on it and 4 Norwegians.
Did you speak the language?
Almost everyone spoke English.
Okay.
Yeah. Belgium is a really international country anyway. It was highly competitive. It was awesome. I had some decent results too. And so that was it. Like then I was like, I'm going to be a pro cyclist.
You moved to Belgium.
Well, a couple months, I spent the rest of the racing season there. I got graduated from high school in June, and then I flew to Belgium to finish the season. Yeah.
Did it pay? Was it a paying job?
No. But it didn't cost me money.
No. They would cover your room and board and all that stuff.
Everything was taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my boss would say, we're going to go to a race here on this day. We're going to race here on that day. And he would give me training plans and would guide. He wouldn't necessarily tell me exactly how to train, but he would mentor me what I need to do. Mm-hmm. And I didn't win any races in Belgium, but I had good results. And I was really happy with how it went. And I could see a future where I'm a pro cyclist.
Up until this point, did you have an excellent coach or were you very talented or both? Like, how did you find yourself at the top of the heap there?
I started bike racing BMX.
Okay.
And then when I was about 12, 13, I transitioned to road cycling. And right there at that year, I started doing roller speed skating. This is 80s in California, right?
Oh, roller skates?
Yes. Roller speed skating, which was a great way to meet girls and stuff. It was fun when you're like 12, 13 years old.
Okay.
And it just so happened that another kid on my team in California became world champion.
On your roller skating, speed roller skating group, your team.
Yeah.
One of them was a world champion.
Yes. It's just
I didn't even know this was a thing.
it's a thing in the 80s in California. Yeah.
In my world, I'd get dropped off at Skate Odyssey when I was a kid, 12 years old.
Yes.
And during the night's events, the DJ at some point would clear the skate rink, and then we would have races based on your age.
Yeah.
But it was always, I thought, just a goofing around thing.
It was at those sessions.
But y'all had serious.
We had a team.
Like, we're gonna win.
Yeah. And it's like a short track. And I just did it for a year.
Do they still have that? Are the people still speed skating?
Well, I know speed skating exists, like outdoor speed skating, like
Okay.
50-kilometer races on
Sometimes
the road.
I see people out here like cruising up and down on some rollerblades.
But I think the roller rink thing is much less than it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a cool place for teenagers to hang out.
Yeah, that's where I'd meet chicks.
Yeah. And I was like 12 or 13. I was hanging out with high schoolers and I thought I was super cool.
Yep. And then there was a world champion. And then how did that kind of change
So
your
the
life?
coach of my team,
Yep.
his name was Rick Babington.
Rick Babington.
And he
Shout out.
is still one of those people that I feel like is my coach today. And we're talking like 40 years ago.
Wow.
So I said, Rick, I want to be like this dude. I want to win races. And he's like, okay, well, you should start riding a road bike. It's a great cross training for speed skating. Same muscle, similar muscles, aerobic, right?
Okay.
And I had already been a BMX racer. And my dad also would take me on these longer and longer bike rides. So my dad was very supportive of this. And like he would take me out 40, 50-mile bike rides on my BMX bike.
On your BMX bike?
Yeah. So when my speed skating coach is like, you should get a road bike, I was like, green light. And then I never skated again. I got a road bike and now I found my sport.
Ah.
Yeah. And so I'm still occasionally in touch with Rick Babington today.
Yeah.
And he's still, I would say, a real mentor to me and somebody that I grew up wanting to please. He was my coach. I wanted to impress him. I wanted him to be happy with me the way I want to be a coach. Like he was approachable, but also like I respected him so much I couldn't mess up.
Yeah.
He was very influential on me. But he was the one that told me to get into road cycling. And then I didn't have a coach in road cycling. As a junior, I had more experienced racer friends that would give me advice. I read a lot of books. I read everything I get my hands on.
Yeah.
I did a lot of reading.
Self-taught.
Yeah.
Autodidact.
Well, with cycling, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I got to that level of junior racing. And then, so I raced in Belgium, came back to California, and I raced 2 more years in California to kind of develop between junior to professional.
Yeah.
And then in those 2 years, I was just racing full time. And then I went back to Europe. My team was in the Netherlands, and it was called Deswaldoen. And that's where I raced. I had a professional license with them. And I raced for 2 years with them.
As an adult professional.
Yes.
Wow. What was the name of the team again?
Deswaldoen.
Deswaldoen.
It means the swallow in Dutch. It was not like your World Tour team. We were not in the Tour de France.
Okay.
But I definitely raced against people that were in the Tour de France. It was just...
Would it be like the minor leagues here for...
Yeah.
Would that be how it would...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like much less funded than the teams you see in the Tour de France.
Right.
But still, we would do a lot of the same races.
You would.
Yeah.
Y'all would be at the same events.
Yes. In fact, my last race as a pro was what's called a post-tour Criterium. So they still have them, but in the 90s, we're talking about in the 90s now, when I was racing professionally, they were a big deal in Europe where, Criterium is like, let's say, a mile track. Mile circuit of roads around a downtown usually. And so they would sell tickets to come watch these Criteriums. And like the winner of the green jersey that year was Eric Zabel. He was wearing his green jersey. And all these people that were in the person, this is in Holland, right? So this guy, Bart Voskamp, won 2 stages that year of the tour. So he was at the Criterium and it brings the crowds.
Yeah.
And I was like pack filler. And it sounds like, oh, it's like a show. But it was fast, dude. It was super fast.
I bet.
And it's like the day after the tour finishes.
And they're still crushing it.
They never stop. And so that was my last race as a pro.
Yeah.
And then I packed up my bike and flew back home and just never put my bike back together.
Aw.
Yeah.
Quick aside, I want to explain to people what a Criterium race is. I'm going to tell you what I think it is, and then you correct me. You have this mile. You said there's like a mile track, right? And people ride at whatever pace.
Yeah.
Whatever pace probably the front guy's going at, right? You got to keep up.
Yes.
And then at a certain point, they ring a bell or a whistle, and at that point, it's now a race or a sprint. And whoever finishes the lap that's after that bell is the winner for that particular race.
Kind of.
Help me understand it.
Okay, so
I've never been to one, but I need to go.
They do have races that are called points races that do that.
Okay.
And you gain points through like every third lap you sprint. This one was like a start to finish. And it was about 100K, so like 60 miles, so like maybe 60 laps.
So it's just the fastest one. It's how the fastest one to finish 60 miles.
And you ride in a pack.
Yeah.
And people try to break away from the pack to get away. You're really good if you can lap them. And then you're kind of back in the draft of the pack. And then,
but way ahead.
yeah. And in Netherlands in particular, where I was, kind of the style of racing was very technical. This was like a course with like 15 turns.
Oof.
It was just turn. And it was all on bricks. It wasn't on paved road.
Really?
Yeah. And it was super fast. But Criterium racing was a big deal to me. I mean, just in general. Like, so this was a start to finish, and the first person to cross the finish line at the end of the race is the winner.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Criterium racing is a big deal. Like I would say, I was a road racer. People like to separate road racing and criteriums, but criteriums is how you make your money as a road racer.
Really?
Yeah, you get paid to go do these races, and it's much better for the spectator because you get to watch the race basically.
The difference between a road race and a criterium is the closed track. Is that what makes it unique? Because with the Tour de France, one winner is the one that does it the fastest.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of road races are like a big loop, like maybe the start and finish is at the same place.
Yeah.
Then you have stage races that you might have a lot of point to point, like you start in this city and finish in this city.
Right.
And those races are awesome too. And what I love to do, but criteriums were how you trained for those and how you made a lot of money because you would get paid to start.
Just to go to it?
Like the promoters of the races would pay you
to be there.
Yeah, and then it would draw these crowds of people, and that's how they would make
They
the
would
money.
pay all of the riders.
Yeah.
Cool.
Based on how fast you are. I got a little bit of a premium, I think, because I was American, and that was rare.
Yeah.
There was no other Americans in those races that I was doing.
Did they have the equivalent of baseball cards? Did you ever have your picture on a baseball
They
card?
did, but I didn't have that. And I was saying no other Americans. My first year as a pro, there was another American on the team who was my good friend Chris, and he actually is the person that invited me to join the team.
Yeah.
And so he was a literal life changer. I wanted to be turned pro, and he and I were talking, and he pitched me to the ownership of the team, and they hired me.
Nice.
Yeah. And he was there for the first year. Second year, it was just me. And it was a great experience. It was awesome. It was, at the time, it was just hard.
Hard?
Yeah. Like training, traveling. I was homesick. I was living in hotels. I was always training. I was basically always cold and wet.
Really? Because it was always...
It was just raining all the time.
Oof.
And you get into the cycle where you're either top form or you're sick, or you top form and you get like an injury of some sort. It's like that. It's like, and stronger people can get stronger than some other people, right? Before they get sick or injured. But everyone at that level is talented. It's
Right.
not just like, I want to be a good cyclist and they are able to become racing at that level. And then when I stopped racing, I stopped racing because I thought I had reached the pinnacle of my abilities.
Your ability.